Hi, I'm Kurt Fearnley, Paralympian, and I'm coming to you from a Wabakal country.
And I'm Paralympian Ryley Batt, and I'm broadcasting from Biripi land.
This is You Little River, the place where we celebrate all things parasport. Ryley Batt, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing very well. I've been spending most of my time up at the Sunshine Coast lately. Tough life up there. Rehabilitating my shoulder, trying to get back into playing rugby after a bit of an injury. It's been really nice. So I'm sort of living between Sunshine Coast and Port Macquarie at the moment, mate. Two, terrible places in Australia.
Mate, how is the shoulder going? Last time you were on the show, you were talking, it was the acute phase of injury. How's the rehab?
Yeah, it's coming along pretty well at the moment. Obviously, the older you get, the slower the rehab is, and I'm learning that very, very hardly. And I'm not a very patient person, Kurt. Fancy that. So at the moment, look, news in the shoulder's not good. AC joints pretty screwed. Rotator cuff tears, labral tears, all those kind of things. But you know what? 20 years of playing wheelchair rugby, multiple gold medals there, some world championships. I'll take a torn shoulder for those kind of accolades, mate. So it's not doing the best, but the rehab at the moment has been really good. I've been working up in Queensland with the Queensland Academy of Sport, and of course the Australian Steelers wheelchair rugby program as well. And we're back. I'm back in the rugby chair. I'm doing a little bit of contact work, and still a long way to go, but I'm excited, as you can see in the smile on my face right now, Kurt.
Where's next, mate? Where's your next comp?
We've got Australian Steelers have we've got the qualifiers. So the qualifiers for the Paris 2024 games next year. Geez, that is scary. So we got to qualify. We won world champs, but they changed the rules last year that you still have to qualify. Even though you win world championships, you usually used to get an automatic qualification for the games. You still have to qualify through an Oceania zone championship. So looks like ourselves and Japan are going to be battling at the Oceania zone championships. Whoever wins it gets an automatic qualification. Whoever comes second, we'll have to go to a wildcard event. We're not sure where that's going to be yet. So the pressure is on. End of June in Japan. Looks like we'll be facing our rivals Japan for a qualification spot for the Paralympics. So hopefully we're fit by then, mate.
Awesome.
And how are you, buddy? What's been happening in your world? I know you've got some twins there, mate. So you getting much sleep?
But I don't know whether or not I should say that I am getting a little bit of sleep because I don't know whether my wife Sheridan is getting any sleep. It's going great. So we were able to welcome Margaret and Lillian into the family. That's number 3 and number 4. Who'd have 4 kids, Ryley Batt? But they are growing, they're eating, they're sleeping, they're doing everything that they need to do. You'll probably hear them. For the listener, if you hear the screams of what sounds like a banshee about to crash into our house, that is my 2 little beautiful new daughters. They have got a great set of lungs on them, so much so I'm sure that they are going to join the Dolphins team because honestly, I've never heard a scream like it. It's very impressive. Mate, but enough of that.
Kurt, I know with that Fearnley, your family's like the Fearnley crew, and they are crazy. So a massive shout out to Sheridan for holding down the Fearnley fort, because I know you wouldn't be doing all the other overnight whinging. I know what you're like, mate. You love your beauty sleep. So shout out to Sheridan. You are amazing. You are definitely the rock in this relationship.
Mate, you don't get this pretty without getting a decent night's sleep every night. So you can't mess with the moneymaker. Enough talking, enough of you actually sledging the crap out of me. It's time to get to what we're all here for. Ryley Batt, what's your You Little Ripper moment?
Oh, mate, I've got a pretty special one this week, and it's something I'm pretty proud of as well. It's not just me, it's a community. I'm getting a bit of goosebumps just about to talk about it, to be honest. And the Paralympics Australia team is going around to all the major cities and regional cities and giving out special Paralympic pins with these Paralympians, number on it, to whenever they came into the team. To all our alumni. And I think it's really important to recognise all these amazing athletes who have paved the way for us, because, Kurt, I know yourself, I wouldn't be here, you wouldn't be here today without the people who have paved the way. There's so many amazing people out there, and I think they need that recognition. And I was lucky enough to be able to hand out these pins in Brisbane recently, and just seeing the smile on all these alumni's face, it was absolutely amazing. And it just really gave me a reality check to how lucky I am and how lucky we are as a Paralympic community.
I love that program, mate. It's connecting the first Paralympian, and we're so fortunate to be able to have that connection to the founders of the movement. That there are very few sports in the world that you can connect the youngest athlete who's going to become take on their first Paralympic Games in Paris, can still connect with the first Paralympian who built this movement in the shadows without the recognition, and they created the third biggest multi-sport event in the world. It's remarkable that the efforts that those that come before us had to go through, and the lack of also recognition and reward. So it is great to see Paralympics Australia acknowledging those that built the sport that we got to benefit from for such a long period of time, and that we still get to benefit from seeing yourself and the rest of the Paralympic family taking that green and gold to the next games. So, and I am interested what number I am. I hope it's like I don't know, I'm in for symmetry. It has to be like, I don't know, like 292 or 666 or something like that. It can't
666 definitely suits you, buddy. I think definitely suits you. But mate, I was thinking the same thing. Like I'm looking after my years of retirement and looking back, and I think it'd be something so special, to be still included in this fantastic community and being recognized with a special pin with your number on it. Like, that's something you look back on. That means so much more than a gold medal, than something like that. It's just you're part of something special. So I'm looking, I don't really look forward to myself getting older, but that is something I'm looking forward to. It's a day where I can look back and look at what I've helped pave as well, and what you've helped pave, and see the future Paralympians coming through, growing something that we love.
Mate, couldn't have said it better. My little ripper moment. It seems like this. The busiest Paralympian in the history of Paralympians is Madison De Rosario. She second place, a runner-up in the Boston Marathon. I got about 4 runners-up in the Boston Marathon. One of them was by about a foot. It's a tough race to win. It seemed like it was freezing cold. Christy Dawes crossed in 6th, and I understand the cold weather sent her to the recovery tent straight away. Hypothermia. She's tough as nails though, and pulled up pretty good after. They have to pull up after, because 6 days later, after the Boston Marathon, it runs on a Monday. 6 days later, they have to be back in form to race the London Marathon. It's a part of the circuit. It's the way it's always been. You peak for 2 marathons in autumn and 2 marathons in spring. But it is such a hard week, especially if you've had a wet or a cold marathon. You've got bruises, you're depleted, and then you've got to try and find the best that you got. It's a real challenge. So it's my you little ripper moment, but it's also my good luck moment as well.
Yeah, I saw on social media that Maddie was pulling a bit of crap for myself, and she said, whose idea was it to wear a crop top at the the marathon, because it looked so cold. It looked foggy, it looked misty, it looked like it was just going to be so slippery on those push rooms. Obviously not the conditions she probably enjoys, but I think with Maddie, what we need to remember as well, and I think I've spoke about it in a past show, is she's got a new chair, and it's a pretty amazing chair, fully carbon, looks like a bullet. And I know from personal experience chatting to her, it took her a while to get used to it, and she's still getting used to it. So she got 3rd in Tokyo, is that correct, Kurt? She's just got a 2nd, Boston, London. Let's see what happens. But yeah, she's obviously adapting to this chair, and her training is all coming together at the moment. So look out to see how far she can go with this new chair.
We're recording this just before the London Marathon. It will come out after the London Marathon. We're also recording this at the same time that the Paracycling World Cup is on in Monaco. I'm unsure how that's pronounced, but I'm going to stick with Monaco in Italy from the 20th to the 23rd of April. We've also got the Japan Open wheelchair tennis with Heath Davidson, who's taking on a competitor from South Africa. We also have the dolphin swimming at the moment in Gold Coast. It is for the Australian Swimming Championships. The team are going to battle it out for selection for the upcoming World Para Swimming Championships in July. And it's 500 days to Paris.
You beat me to it, mate. I'm so excited. I just want to cut in and just say, oi, mate, 500 days until Paris. I'm sitting here quietly cracking my dacks. 500 days goes so 500 days goes so bloody quick, but that's so exciting, mate. That is so exciting. And like, seeing all these events on, obviously we're broadcasting before these events are on, and obviously it's going to be out in the podcast land after it's happened, but I'm looking forward to seeing all these results, seeing a lot of Paralympic sport happening the next week. It's going to ramp me up for 500 days to go. Can't wait.
Right about the last couple of weeks, there's been a Paralympics has hit the current affairs show's four corners about classification. Classification is one of the most personal issues that a para athlete ever has to go through. It is this mixture of pouring out all of your vulnerabilities, but also it feels like you're trying to prove or show that you are a person with a disability, and it is. And I spent 25 years in the movement, and I never asked anyone what their disability was. It just doesn't come up. But then when you're in this process, it can be so confronting and so almost to the core of who you are, that when I saw it on the news, I found it so hard to watch. Mate, what are your memories on your process through classification?
Yeah, look, classification is not fun. It's not something that we want to do, but to be a Paralympian and to make the Paralympics as fair as possible, we have to go through a classification process. Now, through my years of wheelchair rugby, I have been classified, probably 12, 15 times. And it's not a process I enjoy. It can take hours. They go through all your muscle tests, all your function tests, what you can and can't do with your body, range of motion, all these kind of things. Well, I know that's in wheelchair rugby, but what we need to do is we need to trust the process. The Paralympic organizations are getting better and better with, better technology. They're getting better classifiers, more information, and we need to trust the process that they're doing the job to make the Paralympics as fair as possible. So kudos to all the classifiers. I know it's probably not the best job, and you probably hear a lot of whinging from us athletes because we don't like classification, but for us to compete at this level to make the games as fair as possible, it is something that we need to do.
It is, and it's unique to the Paralympic movement. And I couldn't imagine to have my classification kind of questioned in the mainstream news. It would be so challenging. A mixture of being accused of a doper or accused of a fraud. It would be so hard. I think I thought we had to touch on that, seeing it was in the news. We're a Kona Affairs podcast here at You Little Ripper. We're all things to all people, but we're going to get back to what we're all here to see, and that is the athletes, the stories of our amazing athletes on the ground. And we're going to give a You Little Ripper welcome to one of the toughest athletes that I have ever met, the great, the powerful Paralympian and Iron Woman, Lauren Parker. Welcome to You Little Ripper.
Thanks so much for having me.
How you going, mate? I haven't seen you. I used to train with you until you would embarrass the crap out of me because you would lap me so many times now. But you are single-handedly the toughest athlete that I've ever pushed with. How's your form?
Yeah, really good for this stage of the season. I've had a pretty good build-up after a break in late December. I've had a pretty good build-up up until now, and I head away to my first international cycling event next week.
Lauren, I think it's absolutely amazing to see you now in the cycling world, because you are just so strong at every discipline in the triathlon world. So I'm absolutely loving seeing this. But now I've heard, and for the viewers at home, Lauren is planning on competing in both the para-triathlon and paracycling at the Paris 2024 Games. I don't know how you're going to do it. Can you please explain to us what the qualifying process is like? How are you going to juggle that in the games with timings? Obviously, we know you're fit enough for it. It's just trying to fit it all in one. How are you going to do this?
Yeah, it's going to be a big challenge, but I'm always up for a challenge. And in terms of the schedule at the Paralympics, it fits in really well. The triathlon is first, and then 2 days later is the cycling starts. So I've got the time trial on one day and then the road race the day after. So all within four days of each other. The triathlon and cycling is after, triathlon being my number one. But I'm looking to get those 3 gold medals. But cycling is my strongest leg of the triathlon. So it's going to just improve my triathlon anyway, just doing the cycling and the challenge of the cycling and the sessions. And so I'm really looking forward to it. And it's going to be, as I said, I'm always up for a challenge, and it's going to be one challenge. But the triathlon, I find that, I'm feeling that it's easier to qualify for the games in the triathlon. I just need to be in the top 10 in the Paralympics point score starting this July. And then for the cycling, I feel like it's a lot hard, a lot more difficult to qualify because they only have, for Tokyo, they only had like 5 or 6 paracycling slots for the women out of all categories. So you're pretty much, competing for a spot against all categories of the cycling. And then when you get to the games, you're just competing against the hand cycle, for me, the hand cycle category, but it's just qualifying. That's going to be the most challenging.
The paracycling team is one of the most challenging, hands down. I've seen periods of times where somebody who you knew would most likely get a medal not make the team because of the caliber of our athletes that we send over. You need to be pushing for a gold medal to kind of get a start in that team. How are you going to go? I've cycled with you. Like I said, you're one of the most talented hand cyclists that I have ever met. Haven't rolled with you for about 3.5 years. How are you going to go against your competitors who are just on the bike every day?
Yeah, I mean, I have the confidence in my cycling ability, and I think if you have that belief and confidence in yourself, and you have it, or for me, if I have a really good preparation and I'm feeling strong, then I believe I can do it. And triathlon, I think they benefit both. Like triathlon helps the cycling, and cycling helps the triathlon. So as long as I'm fit, strong and healthy, I think I can be very competitive. And I do have to prove that I'm going to be a gold medal potential to be on the team, because everyone on the women's side is a gold medal potential. You've got to be up there, and because everyone's so talented and in their own right.
Well, I've seen the work ethic that you put in into your training, and I feel like, watching your work ethic, watching how you compete in the triathlon, I think you're going to be able to, back this up in the cycling. And I think it's going to, you're coming off hopefully a gold medal in the triathlon. I think you're going to be fit as for this cycling. And I cannot wait to watch you perform in both disciplines. It's something I've never seen in the Paralympic Games. And, I think Paris will be my 6th Paralympic Games. And I've never seen anyone compete back to back in 2 different sports. So I'm all behind you, Lauren. I cannot wait to watch you do your best in both. Hopefully 3 gold medals, but I'm not going to put any pressure on you, because I don't like doing that like someone else in this podcast. Kurt Fearnley.
No, I do not put the pressure on anyone, Ryley Batt. You better be world champion again. I do not at all.
I want to know about Kona. As we know, and to the listeners at home, Kona is the toughest Ironman race in the world, hands down. The heat just absolutely smashes everyone. It's a qualifying race for you, isn't it? Can you explain to us what Kona involves for you? What's it like?
Yeah, very different to racing it as an able-bodied, that's for sure. And leading into Kona this last year, I was training for sprint distance right up until a month before, and I had like 4 weeks of Ironman preparation, and that's very, very short for an Ironman. And only a week before Kona, I'm saying to myself and the team that was going to be going there with me, I'm like, I can't do it. I haven't had any preparation. I spoke to a few other athletes that have done Kona, and they're like, if you're not fully 100%, committed to doing it, then I wouldn't do it because it's a hard day. And I'm going backwards and forwards whether I'm going to do it or not. And at one point I decided I wasn't going and I wasn't going to do it. So I told everyone I wasn't going. And then all of a sudden I just changed my mind. I said to myself, look, I'm just going to go there and do it and get it done. Otherwise I would have regrets. And I didn't want to have regrets after. I didn't want to be home watching the race thinking, I wish I was there. So I put everything into going there and getting it done. And even with the short amount of preparation that I had, but I knew, I still had that belief in myself that I could do it and I could do a really good time over that course. So that's what I did. I got there and it was one tough day, that's for sure. It's 3.8K swim, all with your arms, 180 kilometre hand cycle with your arms again, and a 42.2 kilometre run in a racing chair, which is where I find is the hardest is always the racing chair part, especially after all, that swim and bike. So you just have to be mentally strong, I think. You don't have to be fully physically fit. You can be 90% fit if you understand what I'm saying, but you have to be mentally prepared, because when you're out there on halfway through that bike leg thinking you're only halfway and you've still got so much more to go, you can really get overwhelmed with how much further you still have to go, especially with the heat coming down on you. The wind is like crazy over in Kona, and the fatigue, everything you can, your mind can really go on you. So what I found is you really need to stay in the moment, one pedal stroke at a time, and just to get through the day, because it's long.
I was going to ask that. Look, I struggle to get my mind through a 30K bike ride. So look, I'm not going to even put myself in a category like you, but I do have little, I guess, things in my head that I'm, trying to almost quit or trying to slow down. And I have to sort of keep telling myself different things. I just heard you say, obviously one pedal or one push at a time. Is there anything else that you put in your head just to push you through those kilometers? Because each kilometer, I guess, by the end gets longer and longer and harder. What goes through your head?
I think of the finish and how, the feeling of that accomplishment, and having ticked that goal off that I've been wanting to do for ever since I had my accident. I've been wanting to get to Kona and complete Kona as a para-athlete, having gone there twice as an able-bodied athlete. So I just think about that, but I also, like I said, stay in the moment, embrace the pain, because it's all pain. I don't really know how I do it, but I love Ironman and I love the atmosphere. Plus you've got all the competitors around you, well, going past me because I'm in the hand cycle, but shouting out encouragement along, throughout the whole race. So that definitely helps. The amount of support is out there on course, plus the volunteers. And it's hard in training because you've got no one there. It's all, you're there on your own. Whereas the race, you've got everyone around you, all there competing for the one goal in completing the Ironman. So in a way it's easier being at the race. But
even hearing you talk about it, I remember watching the footage of you push up that last hill, and I started reeling in my chair because when you were saying I'm embracing the pain, because I could imagine the pain that is just pumping through you, especially that last 10 meters of the course. It was like cruelty that they put that ramp to go up at the finish. We ran into each other pretty soon after your accident back in 2017 or 2018?
2017.
2017. You've been 6 years in the sport. You excelled so quickly into a Commonwealth Games, silver medal at a Paralympic Games, 6 or so world champ, 6 or 7.
6 over various distances.
6 times world champion. You've done Kona. You've tackled the media element to the game as well, to the sport. We've seen you on billboards around Newcastle. How do you reflect on this last 7 years now that you've now become one of the most successful Paralympians in this country?
Wow. Yeah, I guess I don't see it like that. I'm just doing something that I love. I'm very grateful and thankful that I was able to get back into my sport after such a horrific accident that could have definitely kept me down. Like, I could have done nothing with my life, but I really embraced the opportunities that I had and was very grateful. And so I think when I think back about the last 6 years and what I've accomplished, it's been a whirlwind of 6 years. I've really packed a lot into that time. And I wouldn't have been able to do it without the support that I've had around me, for sure. But I've put a lot of dedication and a lot of time into my training, and when I have a goal that I set for myself, I put everything into it. I work so hard in achieving that goal. So I guess there's been a lot of hard work put into the last 6 years. It hasn't come easy, but I'm very proud of myself that I've been able to achieve what I've achieved. And I hope that, from me doing that and bouncing back after my accident and bouncing back after all of my surgeries that I've had, I hope that I've inspired someone out there from my journey, because that's what I said when I first had my accident. I said to myself, well, if I can inspire just one person from my accident and journey, then it's all worth it. So pretty sure I've done that. So I hope to keep doing that as well.
Well, Lauren, I know you've definitely inspired me. You've definitely inspired Kurt. You've definitely inspired the whole You Little Ripper audience. With your amazing story, your determination, your grit. We cannot wait to see your progress, obviously with triathlon, but now with cycling, up in the lead up to Paris. We'll definitely keep in touch with you. But thank you very much for your time today. It's been an honor having you on You Little Ripper, and we wish you all the best in the next couple of months, or the year leading up to Paris, I should say. Not long, 500 days. Not
long at all. Yeah, thank you.
Riley had the perfect description of Lauren. Lauren has grit. That she is one of the toughest people that you were ever going to meet. Finally, we got her on the show. I've been wanting to get Lauren on for a long time. Obviously, you Little Ripper audiences, you've been hearing Lauren Parker's story through us, but what a great competitor and great Novocastrian. And thank you guys for listening to our podcast. We love parasport and we want to share how amazing it is with the rest of the world. But we need your help to do that.
We definitely do, Kurt. We need all of you to tell your friends what we're doing here. And please leave us a nice review. You can hang some shit on Kurt if you want, but please leave the whole show a nice review.
No, you can't. I'm fragile. We'll be back with more interviews with your favorite athletes. So make sure you follow You Little Ripper wherever you get your next episode.
And look, we would love to say a big thank you to Toyota for supporting this episode of You Little Ripper. Oh, what a feeling. Thanks, Toyota.
You Little Ripper.